So find an upright seat, unless that's not suiting you this morning. You could go to your back. We'll start there eventually. But find a sense of being comfortable with gravity. So feel the weight of your body on the earth. A kind of belonging to the earth. So you might move back and forth or forward and backward a little bit on your sit bones and just really nestle into the earth. Sensing the connection of your body to the earth. And then drawing up from the earth through the crown of your head, through the spine, lengthening through the spine and reaching the crown of your head towards the heavens. Our work today is with Tadasana. So you could bring the image of a great mountain or the felt sense of a great mountain. Stable and steady. Enduring challenging weather with strength, with nobility. And then settle, continue to settle, be present in this moment. Feeling what it feels like to just be still. Just to be still. You can take about 4 more rounds of breath, matching the inhale and the exhale in length and volume. And then release the intentional breath, and you can move around a bit, wiggle around a bit, but come to your back on your mat. And here you can arrange your body so that you're in a sort of a star shape. So we'll take the feet out wide, arms out to about 45 degrees, and just you can make some small movements in your body before we go into our Tadasana shape. So you might stretch through one heel on the same arm. If this is not what you need this morning and you need to pull your knees into your chest and do a little movement back and forth, go ahead and do what it is you need, just for a few rounds of breath. Maybe the windshield wiper action back and forth with the knees. Just doing what your body is calling for here at the beginning. And then from here, go ahead and line your feet up in Tadasana feet. So legs pointing straight down to the short edge of your mat. Draw your toes back towards your shins. Now, can you, without looking at your feet, can you get a sense of internally rotating your upper legs? Internally rotating the upper leg so the inside of the leg is spilling down towards the mat. And when that happens, now you can look, maybe peek at your feet, and you see that the feet now are not lined up evenly. So now you have to externally rotate the lower leg so that all 10 toes are pointing back evenly towards the shin bone. So there's an internal rotation in the upper leg, and there's an external rotation in the lower leg. And this is called spiraling in the yoga world. Okay, so firmly pull the toes back. And then let's take our arms above our chest. Put your hands together here and feel the broadness across the top of your back. Slowly open your hands so that you can feel the whole shoulder blade come in contact with the floor. And then your upper arm and your lower arm. Draw the navel up and in. And now you can slide your hands down so that they're at your sides, out a bit from your sides. And now draw your hip points, the bony part of the front of your hip there. Draw those together. It's a very subtle action, but as you draw the hip points together, can you feel your low back come a little closer to the floor? So there's not an excessive arching of the back here in this Tadasana shape. It should feel, you should have a felt sense of it being quite similar to how it would feel if we were standing. It feels like a lot of work, probably, because it is. So we tend to sometimes negate this posture or fix our ponytail when we're in Tadasana. Not me, because I don't have a ponytail. But we tend to fiddle around as it's just a in-between pose. Now, just relax for a minute. Let your feet fall out. Let your shoulders relax. Let your arms relax. So you're in more of a Shavasana shape. Take a round of breath here. And then come back. So I'll go through all the cues again. So squeeze your legs, like you squeezing the muscle onto the bone. And often when we're standing, I use the cue to draw your kneecaps up. So squeeze, draw the kneecaps up. Spiral the inner leg down towards the floor and the outer leg the opposite direction externally, so that your feet are as if you are standing on the floor. Toes pulled back towards the shins. We'll try something different with the upper body now. Press into the back of your head and draw your shoulder blades in and down. Feel the broadness behind your back. Pull the navel up and in. I like the term upstroke. It's kind of a little upstroke of the navel. And draw your hip pointers together. Now your hands can be palms facing up, or you could have the palms facing in towards the sides of your body. Notice where the back of your head is touching the floor. So if your chin is pointing up, you need to slide the chin more to a parallel, or almost even a little baby double chin, like you have a little baby double chin there. That's the position of the head, stacked over the shoulders. Great. And then you can relax again and let the feet fall out and just kind of wiggle in your body. That's a lot to hold, okay? Think about, in terms of our current events, you might think about holding that posture for 8 minutes and 42 seconds in celebration of George Floyd. Anyway, here we go. I digress. All right, so let's bring bend the right knee and just slide the right knee up and out and then across your midline and back down. So we did this the other day. The right foot falls out to the right, slide the right knee up across the body and press back through. So just making some big circular motions through the right hip, as we will be doing some of this when we stand up. So we'll just get the right hip moving. And you could have your arms down to your side here, or if it's more comfortable, you could interlace your hands behind your head or go to the goalpost arms. It's interesting to notice our tendencies, right? And what we like, what was most comfortable, and maybe change that up every once in a while as well. So now you might start by pulling the foot back with the knee across midline, so going in the opposite direction, and then right leg out to the right and back down. So just making the circle in the opposite direction. Great. And then with your belt on the ball of your foot, you can reach your foot up towards the ceiling, pull back against the belt. If you don't have a belt, maybe you can grab your pants, or if you could reach your toe and take your toe with your peace fingers, that's fine, your big toe. Press through the belt and feel an opening behind on the hamstring area. And then open out your leg to the right as per your capacity. Don't worry if your left hip picks up here, you're just getting the inner leg open slightly. And on your next inhale, reach the leg back up, switch hands with the belt and come into a twist. Scoop your belly to the right. And then you can bend your knee, come back to center, and we'll take now the left leg and do the same action with the left leg. So we begin by turning the toes out to the left and sliding the left knee out to the left. Foot comes up to sole of the foot on the floor, pointing your knee towards the ceiling, across midline, and press back out. So just you're making a big circular motion with the hip, where the head of the femur comes into the pelvis, working in that ball and socket joint. And go at your own pace. This might be the first movement you have today, or you might have already been hiking and swimming. Just feeling into your left hip now. Take it in the opposite direction. So we slide the knee up as it's across midline, drop through center over to the left and around. And just one or two more times, feeling into your left hip. And then you can take your belt around the sole of your foot, or take your big toe with your peace fingers, press your foot into the belt and pull with the belt. So you feel an opening, start to feel an opening in the back of the leg and the hamstring. You might here even think about wrapping your left hip down towards the short edge of your mat, and then open your leg to the left. Don't worry if the right hip picks up. It could pick up quite a bit. If you have a lot of space to open up, you might gently rest your right hand on your right hip and encourage it down. Or the opening of the inseam of the left leg. And then inhale up to center. Come across your midline into a gentle twist. Reaching your left arm away. Scoop your belly to the left. Scoop your belly to the left. Feel a little twist in your back as you open up here. Good. And then release that. Come back to the Tadasana shape on the floor. So inner thighs rolled in, outer legs rolled out, so the feet are standing on the imaginary wall. Press into your head, tuck your shoulders underneath, turn the palms up. Upstroke the navel, draw the hip pointers together. Squeeze muscle to bone. And then release that work. And now we'll just try one more standing posture in this position on the floor. We'll go to Vrikasana, which is tree. So let's bring the right knee up towards your chest. Externally rotate that leg and place your foot against the upper thigh. Now, if we were standing, so some of us are going to want to put our foot, rest it down on the floor, right, with the leg on the floor. But if we were standing, we would have the foot not at the back of the leg, but right in the center. So can you line your foot up in the center of your left leg? And depending on the slipperiness of your pants, you might have to pop up and sort of reach down and place the foot in place. You could also have your foot against your left calf. But now, press your right foot into your leg and squeeze your left leg. Squeeze muscle to bone. With your hands on your hip pointers, can you feel for your hips being level, which is what we want when we're standing in this posture. A lot of work right here, not to lay that right knee down on the floor. If it's, it might be supportive too to have a block right under your right knee, just at the end of the leg there, right under your knee. Good. And then release that. And we'll try the other side, and I'll have the block on the other side, so I think you'll be able to see it. So bring the left knee up towards your chest. Externally rotate that leg, right? And then you might have to pop up and help your foot into your thigh, right in the center of your thigh. So the right leg is strong. You're squeezing muscle to bone, pressing your left foot into the middle of your thigh. And if you need a little help here, you can have the block just right under your knee. And there's our Vrikasana on this side. Yeah. Now notice where you might have put an excessive arch in your back, and keep your pelvis in a neutral position. Upstroke the navel, draw the hip pointers together, and squeeze the leg against the foot against the leg. Yes. And then release that work. Release that work. Take your block, set it aside if you were using it. And now just press through the right heel, left heel, just opening there a little bit. We're about to get up and work on our feet. So crossing at the ankles and rocking yourself up, or rolling to one side and using your hands to help you sit up. Come on up and grab a block. And we're going to take the block. Let's see the best way to show you this. I think I'll turn around this way. You're going to take the block right between your ankles. So you're squeezing the block between your ankles. I have mine on the lowest setting, so wide and low. squeezing the block. If you don't have a block, you can just think about lining your ankles up with your knees and the feet pointing straight back. Okay, so this is Virasana with the block. We'll take our hips back to the block, squeezing the block with our ankles, and then take your fists and just knead the bottom of your feet, knead your soles. You do need your soles. So the feet connect us, they connect the ground to the rest of the body. And if your feet are lacking attention, it probably shows up in your balancing work. So the feet are very important to work with. The very first class I took as a kind of a serious yoga student was all on feet. It was pretty amazing. So working there through the soles of the feet. And then release your hands. We're going to come forward onto our hands. Keep squeezing the block between your ankles. Keep squeezing the block between your ankles and just lift the block up. Squeeze the block and lift the block up. Good. And then now we'll take the block to the side. And now turn all 10 toes under. So you're on your knees, turn all 10 toes under if you can. And then you'll come back to sitting on your heels. Okay, so that is particularly uncomfortable for me. So sometimes I put a block between I gotta get my feet a little closer together. I rest the block right just past my heels, just up sort of in the calf area or between the calf and the heels. Whew. And I can deal with this posture a little easier with the block. But if you don't need the block, just take the block out and sit right back on your heels. Good. And then coming forward, hands to the floor, take the tops of your feet to the floor. You can give them a little tap here. And then set your hips back again, opening the tops of the ankles. And then coming forward. Now we're going to come to, this might work a little differently for everybody. I'm going to sit in Virasana, start in Virasana. So you might be sitting on the floor, you might even need a chair. But I'm going to take one leg into the Baddha Konasana shape. So just right down in front of me, in towards my groin. And then I'm going to take the other leg up in the air and put my arms underneath, taking opposite hand to opposite elbow. So hopefully this is clear if you're looking. And then I'm going to circle that foot around. I'm going to take that in both directions. Hope my foot doesn't look too big in your view. Right, good. And then I'm going to massage my foot. So you might have to hold your foot up, or you could rest that leg on a block. That's pretty convenient. So I want to massage each toe individually. So my teacher Tias talks about the feet being the very first chakra, the first energy center. So if we think about the base of a mountain, this is the feet. Now in particular, there's a spot, I'm going to try to show it to you here, and it's inside the ball of the foot and right between sort of the second and third metatarsal. And that's called the bubbling spring or kidney one point. And that point, if you rub that point every day, is said to help keep us in good balance. So just a little bit massage through the sole of that foot and each toe. And then we'll change and go to the other side. You might have to adjust your position a little bit. Take that out for a minute. Again, take your arms underneath. And so your leg is resting on your arm, their little cradle. And then circle your foot in one direction and the opposite direction. So the feet are the first interface when we're in our standing postures. And you could see when you're on your back how much feedback we get all through the rest of the body when we're doing something like Tadasana. When we stand up, we're just going to get the feedback through our feet. So because we wear shoes a lot, and then you can do the same thing with this foot, massaging each toe. Because we wear shoes a lot, and often tight shoes, if we're doing things like cycling and hiking and playing sports like tennis or pickleball or basketball, our feet are in flexion and we sort of lose, they're tight and we lose kind of we have a disconnect with our feet. So really good to work your feet every day. See if you can find the bubbling spring spot again. So it's just inside, it's kind of a depression, just inside from the ball of the big toe, ball of the foot, and just down from between the second and third metatarsal. And you want to rub that spot. And then we'll come down to Tadasana, so staff pose. So I'm going to face you for this. So you can possibly see my feet. Looks like I need to back up. So just go ahead and sit in your Tadasana, pick up in your hips, shift your hips back, and set back. Good. And here we'll take and just reach the big toe away, or both big toes away, and then relax, and then fan all 8 toes towards me, and relax. So big toes press away or point, and then come back, and then 8 toes, or however many toes you have on your feet there. My neighbor had 6 toes on each foot. Yeah, pretty interesting. Big toe away, and the 8 toes away. Good. Now with your feet, turn them in and make like a namaste. Namaste. And then release and turn the feet away from one another. So we call this inversion when we turn the feet in, and eversion when we turn the feet out. Good. And one more time. And back again. Good. All right. And then we'll come now to Purvottanasana. So this can be quite a challenging posture, actually. So do the best with this and modify it as you see fit. But I started the Tadasana position, and I'm going to take my hands back behind me, sort of lean back, and turn my fingers towards my hips. And then as I point my toes away, I lift my hips. And I really point the toes away and stretch through my feet. And then release that back down. And now we'll make our way up to standing. So here, if you feel the need, you can Put your mat aside for a minute and just work with the surface you have. Great. So let's begin just finding Tadasana. So we'll play around a little bit with moving onto the toes, forward onto the toes, and backward onto the heels. And forward onto the toes, and backward onto the heels. Yeah? And then I'm going to turn sideways to you. Overemphasize tilting the pelvis forward. So now you get quite an arch in the back. And then overemphasize tilting the pelvis back. That pushes the thighs forward. All right, and we want right in between those two. Neutral spine or neutral pelvis, right in between those two actions. So find that. Lift your toes. Press into the ball mound of the big toe and of the pinky toe. And then set your toes back down. And press through your heels evenly, so center of the heel. And then reach your arms down to the side. Feel the shoulder blades slide in and down. And find that same head position we had on the floor. So you almost are going for a little baby double chin. Gaze straight ahead and steady. And how does it feel to stand in this position of stillness? It's actually quite a vulnerable pose. Sometimes in a class you might feel like if you're holding Tadasana a long time, maybe the teacher's looking at you, or I think as teachers sometimes we feel sort of self-conscious in this posture. We're not moving, everyone's looking at us. So feel into that stillness. Great. Okay, release that. Take a block now. We'll start with the block between our feet. So I want the block to be right between my feet, and I'm going to press in with my big toes. Press in with the edge of my big toes presses into the block, and then I can relax my toes. And you should feel, or you might feel, a sense of the arches lifting when you press in there. And then you can release the block. And now take the block up between your inner thighs. Line your feet up right underneath your hips and squeeze the block in. And you're almost squeezing the block as if you could trying to push the block out behind you. So the inner thighs are rolling in, just like we did on the floor. Now, if you can look down at your feet while you're doing that, can you see or can you feel, probably better exercise to feel the grounding of your feet. Okay, so now let's broaden through the back by bringing our elbows forward and our hands back. I think you can see me. Elbows forward, hands back. Feel the broadness across your back. And then bring your hands down to your sides. Squeeze the block. And then we'll release, take the block out. Good. All right, so if you want to right here, just run through a vinyasa just to warm up. I'm just going to warm my hips up a little bit. We're going to do a bunch of work from Tadasana, and a lot of it is quite balancy. So if you fall out, you fall out. It's all good. And if you need some wall space, you can find some wall space. Okay, so we'll begin. Trying to see here. I might be turning around quite a bit, facing you one direction and then the other. But we'll begin in Tadasana, lifting the arms just slightly and coming onto the toes slightly, and then back down. And then the next time you inhale, lift the arms a little higher, come up a little higher, and then back down. And then a little bit higher, and then back down. And then all the way up, and release back down. Okay, so let's do that a few times. I think I left the screen view there a little bit. So just a little bit up off the heels, arms out to the side, release back down. Arms a little bit more, up a little bit higher, release back down. A little bit higher, release back down. All the way up on the tippy toes. If you fall out, don't worry. Just set yourself back up. Good. And when you come back to the Tadasana, just check in with that strong Tadasana shape. So let's do one more time. Good. And then we'll let that go. And each time, if you need to kind of work your hips or your pelvis just in between, go ahead and do that, or take a vinyasa if you want to do that. Good. Now we'll inhale and come up onto our toes all the way. Arms up, reached up. So heels stay lifted, and then sink your hips down. Release as you stand back up, arms and heels come down. Inhale, sweep up, come up on your toes. And then slowly bend your knees and sink your hips down. And then press down with the hands and straighten the legs and come back to center. Gonna do that a few more times. So inhale, reach the arms up, come up on your toes. Sink the hips down, bending your knees. And then press into your hands, stand up, and set the heels down. Get a couple more. Inhale, reach the arms up, come up on your heels, or come up on your toes. Bend your knees, sink your hips. And then press down into your hands. And press your heels down. Good. Next one, I think I'll face you this way. So now we'll inhale, come up onto the toes, reach the arms up. Exhale, one arm comes out to the side, one in front. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, opposite arm in front, opposite arm out to the side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, it's a little brain work. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And then let that go. Again, if you need to do anything in between, go ahead and do that. And so now we're going to inhale the arms up and bring the leg up. Let's bring the right leg up. Okay. Exhale. Then inhale, reach forward and reach the leg back. Bring the right leg back up to center. And exhale, set your arms down to the side. Keep the leg raised. Inhale, sweep the arms up, sweep the leg back. Straight leg, point toes. Exhale, bring the right leg up, bring the arms down. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach the right leg back, straight leg. Exhale, bring the leg up, arms down. So each time you come to this position, this lifted position, left leg is in Tadasana, upper body in Tadasana. Just have the right leg bent. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach the leg back. Exhale, draw the arms down and bring the leg up. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach the leg back. And exhale, draw your right knee up towards your chest, arms down, and then release. So you should really feel in the opposite leg, the standing leg, the strength of that leg. Really pull the hip in and feel the squeezing the muscle to bone. So try the other side. Maybe I'll face you this way now. So now it's the left leg that lifts up. Whoa. Left leg that lifts up. And we can start with the arms down. As you inhale, you'll reach the arms up and straighten that leg behind you. Not a whole lot, just a little bit of a hinge. And then exhale, press the arms down, reach the leg up. Inhale. And exhale. Find a good spot for your balance. Good spot to look at your drishti. Exhale, hands come down, raise the left knee up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And then release. Good. Shake out the legs and do a little hip action there, whatever you need. Okay. And so the next one now, we'll be working with the hamstring. So you're going to bend your right knee and look down at your legs momentarily. Make sure the right knee is not out here in the front, but your legs are parallel to one another. Good. And then we'll reach back with the knee staying bent. You can have your hands to your hips here to start, and then come back to that same position. And then you'll reach back, you keep the knee bent, and come back to that same position, that upright position. Okay? And then you could add the arms. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands down, keep the knee bent. Woo. Inhale, keep the knee bent. And exhale, arms come down. Super challenging. And then come back to center. Good. Now just pump through bringing the right heel to the right buttocks with the knee bent. So the hamstring work here and release. Woo. Okay, let's try the other side. So bend the knee, bend the left knee, line up your knees. So the right leg is firm, squeeze muscle to bone. You can start with your hands on your hips and just hinging forward and then back and keeping the left knee bent, toes pointed back towards shins. And then you could add the arms as you come back, arms come up, and then arms down to the side as you come back to the center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, down. Inhale, sweep arms up, lean forward. Keep the same bend in the knee. Good, and then when you come back down, you're just gonna pump the heel of your left foot towards your buttocks. And that is working the hamstring. And release. And that might have been a little bit hard to feel, get the felt sense of, well, was I staying in my Tadasana shape? Because it's pretty challenging to do some of that hamstring work. Okay, so I think I'll face you for the next one. So now find your Tadasana again. Let's come back to just really getting a nice solid Tadasana here. So you could take the block, squeeze again, or you could just imagine you have the block, squeeze the legs, squeeze muscle to bone. Feel all four corners of your foot. Now put your weight into one foot, just one foot, one side. Put your weight into one side. You can have your hands to your hips and reach the other leg out in front. And then take it to the side and then take it behind. Back to the side and in the front. So you're making a little half circle. Take your time. If you need to take your foot and just rest it in each position on the floor, that's fine too. Notice what's happening with the standing leg foot. Are you gripping with your toes? See if you can have this movement just be in the one leg. So you're not swaying too much. You're just moving through that half circle with the opposite leg and release. So I have my hands on my hips because that gives me a lot of information about whether I'm tilting or if I got one hip higher than the other, which is often what we do in Vrksasana and tree pose. So let's try the other side. So firmly ground through the other foot. Press your weight into that foot. And then inhale. You're going to bring the opposite foot forward, out to the side, and back behind you. Back to the side, out in front. To the side, behind. Take the little dabs if you need to. The little touches. Squeeze muscle to bone on the standing leg. And notice what your body needs to do to compensate here. And release. Go ahead and shake out your legs. Knock the hips around in a circle. Very good, very good. Okay, so now, best orientation here. Take your weight into the first side again. Okay. Inhale the opposite leg out in front, over to the side and behind. And then swing it back to the front and across in the front. And then to the front, to the side and behind. The side, front, and across. So a little pendulum action. You're sweeping out to the side and behind, out to the side and in front. And we'll let that go. We'll try the other side. I'm going to just change my orientation. So press into the opposite foot. Inhale the opposite leg out in front. You come across the front first, out to the side and behind. Keeping the Tadasana shape as much as possible through the standing leg and the upper body. And behind, to the side, cross in front. Good. Let that go. And let's go ahead and let's just for a little relief, let's set our hands down and come into downward facing dog. Now here, imagine, or take the block if you've got it handy, squeeze the block between your upper inner thigh. So we're in the Tadasana feet and legs. So the inner thighs rolling in, the outer thighs rolling out. And you're on the balls of your feet, reaching your heels towards the floor. We could rock forward into high plank, which again is the Tadasana shape. And then come back into downward facing dog. If you've got the block there, you could release the block out to the side. And then everyone walk your feet up to your hands into a forward fold. Press your hands into your shins and reach the crown long. Find that little double chin, because now our upper body's in the Tadasana shape. And exhale, fold. And now press into your feet and lift your inner arches as you sweep your arms up. And exhale, let your hands come to heart center. And then rest to the side, find Tadasana. Great. And then release that, and we'll come now to Vrikasana, so the tree pose. Okay. So finding, and there's lots of different ways to do this, lots of variations. You can use a wall, either sideways to the wall, or you could use a wall. I have my back to you, but I'm just lightly touching the wall with my hands for my balance. Okay, you could just try it in the middle of the room. So pressing into one foot, really settling one foot down. You can take the opposite foot. Let's take our hands to our hips so we can really feel what the hips are doing. So we're in the Tadasana shape with hands on our hips. We take the opposite foot and just rest it on top of the standing leg. Upstroke the navel. Draw the hip pointers together. Shoulders down and in. Now from here you might externally rotate the leg and put the foot against the calf. Squeeze. Be encouraged. Balance is different every day. Keep the hips level, and then you might have to bend your standing leg and take your hand to put the foot right in the center of the thigh, just like we did on the floor. I don't have it today. And release. You can come back to that. Take your other foot, ground your foot. Squeeze muscle onto the bone in the standing leg. And just begin with resting the opposite foot on top of that standing leg foot. Finding a drishti, a gaze that helps steady you. Mountain is just experiencing some shifting weather here. And you could take the foot against the calf. You can really get that external rotation of the bent leg and bring it up into your thigh. And release. And you can take the hips around in a circle. Now you can always come back to that. We didn't hold those very long, but I don't want to run out of time. So last thing standing, if you want to try this, so when we turn Tadasana upside down, that's a handstand, okay? And we can support the handstand with some wall space. And if you want to try this, you can. I realize I'm not there with you to help support you, so do what feels right for your body. And I'm going to set my mat up with the short end of my mat up to my wall space. And I'm going to take my hands about to the middle of my mat, right? So I'm going to bend one knee and bring it up the wall, my foot up the wall, and then bring the other foot up the wall in a variation of a handstand. So now I keep squeezing my leg muscles, right? And if I was in an unsupported, if I was in a handstand in the middle of the room, I'd be pressing. You might even try that if you're already here. It's just to take one leg at a time, and I'm standing on the ceiling. I'm squeezing muscle to bone, and I've got my toes pulled back towards my shins, pressing the floor away with my hands. I could try the other foot, like I'm going to stand on the ceiling. We won't go into a handstand unless that's already in your practice and you want to do that. And then to come out, you'll bend one knee, set that foot down on the floor and the other, and then stay down with your head down. You can even come right here to the child's pose. Stay there. And if you want to see that all again, I'll just show that. So I've got the short end of my mat to the wall, and my hands are about halfway in the middle of my mat, and then feet in close. And this does take some hip flexibility. So I bend my right knee and I bring my right foot up to the wall, and then I reach my left foot up to the wall. And this is a good start for handstand. And then I tried bringing one leg out just to get that action, the Tadasana leg, pressing the foot in up towards the ceiling, and the other. And then to come out, one foot down, the other foot down, stay down with the head down, and maybe even take child's pose here. Great. And so wherever you are, let's all come back down to the mat on our backs. And we can give ourselves a little love on the hips. We'll come into a figure 4. If you prefer to do pigeon on your tummy, you can roll over and do this on your tummy, but bring the right ankle on the left knee and the knees in towards the chest. And then maybe string the right hand through the space, take the back of your left thigh or the front of your left shin. Keep the upper body in a Tadasana shape. So draw the shoulder blades onto your back. And feel an opening through the right hip, hopefully, because we did a lot of work with the hips in those one-legged Tadasana shapes. You can unwind that and come to the other side, and certainly you could do a little bit more of this after we finish up, if your hips are needing it. Now left ankle on right thigh, take the left hand through the space, take the back of your right leg and the front of your right shin. Ah, feel the left hip settle to the floor. And then you can release your legs to the floor, release your arms alongside. If there's anything else you need, if you need a gentle twist one side or the other, or a happy baby, take that. And then we'll settle down into Shavasana and let everything go. Now just sort of be here and feel gravity doing its good work. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. As you float where I held you and let go, remember when fear cramps your heart, what I told you. As you float where I held you and let go, remember when fear cramps your heart, what I told you. Lie gently and wide to the light year stars. Lie back and the sea will hold you. Lie gently and wide to the light year stars. Lie back and the sea will hold you. When you're ready, you can make your way back to a seat. Take your time, stay in Shavasana if you want. I'm grateful that I belong to you all and that you belong to me and that we are a community together. Namaste.